In this lesson, we're going to look at naming of compounds, and we're going to look at binary ionic compounds of type 1. So the first thing that we need to know is what a binary ionic compound is. So a binary ionic compound is just simply a compound that is made up of two elements, one of which is a metal and second one is a non-metal. So you have a metal plus a non-metal being combined, one metal, one non-metal being combined, and the new substance that they are forming is what we are calling a binary ionic compound. Okay, binary meaning two, ionic meaning a combination of a metal and a non-metal. But we are looking at binary ionic compounds of type 1. When we say binary ionic compounds of type 1, what we mean is the metal is either coming from group 1 or group 2 of the periodic table, or if it is not coming from group 1 or group 2, it should be silver, zinc, or aluminum. In simpler terms, what we're saying is when you have a metal and this metal is from group 1 or 2, or if it is not from group 1 or 2, it should be either silver, zinc, or aluminum, and you add this metal to a non-metal, what you form is what we are calling a binary ionic compound. Binary ionic compound of type 1. Okay. Now, how can we name these compounds? How can we name the binary ionic compounds of type 1? So let's say you're combining a metal which is from group 1, for example, lithium, and you're combining it with chlorine. What is going to be the name of the compound that will be formed? The first thing that you need to know is the first part of the name comes from the metal. So first part of the name comes from the metal. So in our example here, the metal that we have is lithium. So the first part of the name that of the new compound that is being formed will be lithium. Then the second part of the name, which you can think of as the surname, will come from so the second part of the name will come from the non-metal. So the second part comes from the non-metal with IDE ending. So you change the ending of the non-metal that you have and you replace the ending with IDE. Okay, so in our case we have chlorine. You won't write lithium chlorine. So you are not going to say lithium chlorine. No, you change the ending and you replace the ending of chlorine with IDE. So you are going to remove INE with and replace it with IDE. And what you are going to get will be lithium chloride. Okay. So let's pick any other different metal from group 1 or group 2, or even aluminum, silver, or zinc. But I'm going to pick, I think I'll pick sodium. So if we get sodium and combine it with bromine or bromine, which is from group 7, it is a non-metal. What is the name of the new compound that will be formed? So we said that the first part of the name comes from the metal, and the metal in our case is sodium, so it will be sodium. And the second part comes from the non-metal with the ending changed, so it will be sodium, and the non-metal that we have in our case is bromine, so it will be sodium bro with the ending changed from bromine. We remove the I N E and replace with I D E, so it will be sodium bromide instead of sodium bromine. If you write sodium bromine, you are wrong. Okay, to be sodium bromide. So these are the rules that you follow, but mostly in most cases you see that you'll be given these in they'll be given to you in chemical formula form, not as not not as words. So even most of the questions that you find from past papers, they'll be given to you like that in chemical formula form. So let's look at a couple of examples. So what if you had for example NaBr, and they tell you name this compound, so you have to look at it. You go to your periodic table, you find Na is from group 1, which is sodium. You find the name on the periodic table. So capital letter N and the small letter A represent sodium. So you know that the metal they are talking about here is sodium. So Na is sodium. You go to find Br again. You look on your periodic table. So I found Br is coming from group 7, which is bromine. So Br is bromine. Okay. So when you see a chemical formula like this, it means that they have combined sodium and bromine. So they are asking you to name what is this compound that has been formed from sodium and bromine, a combination of sodium and bromine. And we earlier said that the name of the compound, the first part will come from is going to come from the metal, and the metal in this case is sodium, so it will be sodium, and the other part will come from the non-metal with the ending changed, so it will be sodium bromide. mide. So the ending is changed. You replace the last part with IDE. So it will be sodium bromide. Let's look at a different example. Let's look at what if you had RB subscript 2S. Okay, so you have to go on your periodic table. You find RB first. Where is RB? RB is in group 1. So RB is in group 1 and the name of this metal is rubidium. It's rubidium. What about S? Let's find S. Okay, so is S is a non-metal from group 6. S is a non-metal from group 6 and it is sulfur. Okay, it is sulfur. So the name of this compound that they've given us, the first part will come from the metal. It doesn't matter what subscript it has, whether it had 3 or there was no subscript. When it comes to naming of binary ionic compounds of type 1, um, it doesn't matter the subscript that either the metal has or the non-metal has. Okay, so this is going to be rubidium, and instead of saying rubidium sulfur, it looks like I've misspelled sulfur. It's supposed to be like that. Okay, so instead of being rubidium sulfur, you change the ending, the last part of this, you replace it with IDE. So you replace UR with IDE, IDE, and what you get is rubidium sulfide. Okay, rubidium sulfide. So it's easy. You get the name of the metal as your first part. The second part is the name of the non-metal, but with the ending changed. You have replaced the ending with IDE. Okay, let's look at another example. What if you had Mg2N2? Okay, so you find Mg first. Find Mg on the periodic table. Mg is coming from group 2. So Mg is coming from group 2 and it is magnesium. Okay, and what about N? N is coming from group 5 and it is nitrogen. Okay, it is nitrogen. Okay, so this qualifies to be a binary ionic compound of type 1 because you have a metal from group 2 and a non-metal being combined. Okay, so the name of this compound that we're being asked that we're being asked to name is going to be, I said it doesn't matter the subscript that this compound has. You, as long as you've determined that this is a binary ionic compound of type 1, you are only going to take the name of the metal as the first part. So this is going to be magnesium so this is going to be magnesium, and you will take the name of the non-metal with the ending changed. So instead of being magnesium nitrogen, you are going to remove this part and replace it with IgE. Okay, so it will be magnesium nitride. Okay, magnesium nitride. Right. I think with these examples, we should have a good understanding of naming compounds or naming binary ionic compounds of type 1. In the next video, we're going to look at binary ionic compounds of type 2 and see how we can name them.